Hello everyone, welcome back to Zero Tolerance TV. I am ZT, and today we are going to be starting a new group from the 2006 Shinhan Bank OSL. This is going to be a TVP with our Protoss player, Rock, eventually. There he is. And his Terran opponent, Sink, who has a different tag he's actually playing under. But that is what the video says, so that's what I'm going with. This is on, oh man, Neo Pioneer 3 or something? I can't remember. Sin Pioneer 3? Something Pioneer. Looks to be a 4-player map, so lots of potential for a macro game here. We'll have to see how this map plays out. I have not been doing much research on the maps we're playing on, and I really don't plan on it, so kind of just learning them as we go. So nobody's building gateways in the middle of the map, or no 8 racks in the middle of the map, so we're going to at least move past the very earliest stage of the game. No real inkling or indication of what these players are planning yet. No scout after gateway. Kind of thought he was gonna scout there. I gotta say, I'm a fan of scouting, but sometimes you'll do a build that really just needs those extra minerals, and sometimes you just do a later scout for it. Nice hide on the face, skipping school, I guess. Often that is why a lot of the students or the younger members in the audience will hide their face, because they know their teacher is going to watch this later because they're also StarCraft fans and they didn't want to get outed. Always kind of the funny thing about Brood War culture to me was everyone, not everyone, but so many people hide their faces when they get put on camera. The best, I have no idea what game this was, but there was a foreigner in the audience, and they put their, the camera went on him, and he had the most over-exaggerated reaction ever. It was pretty amazing. So I think this looks like probably 2-gate Goon, maybe? Could certainly go into Robo after this, but 2 gateways and a bunch of Dragoons is a pretty safe way to take a base. We see Sink has, gone into factory here. Looked like only 1 Marine. So a little bit greedy there, but with the sort of wall off, that Marine can... Well, yeah, 1 Marine just takes so long to kill a Zealot. It's gonna walk around that wall and just run at your SCVs or the Marine, so definitely a little greedy there from Sink, if it really is just 1 Marine. Second has popped out, and he's now gotten his scout off. Seems like he's not interested in pressuring with those 2 Marines. They're just walking up to the choke. And really, there's just not much 2 Marines can do against a Dragoon. So, seems like a fine choice not to run out there. Oh, I wonder if this SCV is going to go down. I think if Sink had just pulled it back, it would have lived. And yeah, it lives anyway. So it doesn't matter. Bunker started here, over at the choke. 1 Dragoon, not really a threat for 3 Marines. Now when the second Dragoon comes out, it can get pretty bad. But, just 1 here, and yeah, this is just 2 gateways pumping goons right now. No sign of any other tech. Range is definitely started there. Can't imagine he's getting +1 ship weapons, unless it's sort of fake, but that's bad. You should just get range. Range is really good. Nice little scout here for Sink, but really Rock isn't doing anything sketchy at all. He's just playing very standard, very safe, and starting a Nexus. Now I believe this is a faster expansion. Pretty sure Sink hasn't started his yet, but Sink with that siege mode. No. Well, it actually might be siege mode. I thought that would be vulture mines, but a tank first, so maybe it is just straight up siege. That's probably the command center. Yeah. Okay, so pretty standard. This is actually so far the type of game that we would see even today in 2022. Not super standard. Generally, it wouldn't be tanks quite this quick, but certainly a viable option to go quick siege. Just take a really safe expansion. And 2-Gate Goon is the build that I still use on ladder. Just really safe. You're going to get your expansion. Don't have to worry about getting overrun by any sort of SCV pull or anything like that. You'd have to worry about with a Nexus first. Just a good way of getting into the mid game. So should be seeing a decent macro game here, hopefully. Could see Sync trying something weird, but really this, with the CC is not going to be a game that ends anytime in the next few minutes here. Rockspace has finished, and ooh, going into Stargate. Okay, is this for like quick arbiters? I guess you go later Stargate for the arbiters. This is probably Fleet Beacon. Yeah. Okay, so 2-base carrier again. I mean, still a very standard build today. Definitely the type of thing we would still see. Sieging up these tanks, but nothing in range for them to shoot. E-base started really just for turrets. Little does he know, turrets won't be very good for him this game. Not that they're bad against carriers, I guess, but they're not exactly the answer. Interceptors just do a great job of killing turrets. And really, it's just mineral efficient for the Protoss to fight turrets with carriers. Terran needs to answer them in some other way. So I guess it's kind of possible that he skipped range on these goons and did go fast +1. I doubt that's what happened. I think if Rock builds this many Dragoons, he probably just gets range because, I mean, it's really good and you're going to want it anyway. I guess it's possible that he valued really quick upgrades over that, and considering the speed of the Fleet Beacon, he would be able to just constantly produce on those upgrades, but I really doubt that's what this is. Second Stargate started. Generally, you do want to go to Stargate carrier on 2-base. You can't afford that much. And when he takes a third, probably going to build the third Stargate. Really depends on how integral the carriers are to his plan. Generally, though, if Protoss gets carriers and they live, they just make like a ton of carriers because they're a very powerful unit. Probably the most efficient unit in the game, if they're microed correctly. Really just waiting to see what these players are doing. I'm not sure if Sync has figured out what the plan is here yet. He's probably pretty curious, just given Rock's general passivity, but not exactly sure. If he knows, he's going to build factories, probably 5, and try to push at like 2-1. I haven't seen a single I haven't seen any armor yet though, so not really sure where the upgrades are at. Could also be that maybe the 2-1 pushes aren't really known at this point. It may be something that was developed after to deal with this build. I'm not sure when that became popular. I know that now some like factory push with 2-1 is generally the answer for 2-base carrier. So Sync has gone up to 4-fac. I think that's an academy. Okay, so I'm pretty sure he just does not know what's going on right now. It would be pretty difficult for him to scout that without ComSat station, so... Oh my god, Speed Vulture just runs past the goons and gets in, so never mind. He totally knows the cat is 100% out of the bag here. It is carriers, so Sync now can make his decision. Is it build that 5th or maybe even the 6th fac and do a push? Armory started here, so maybe with +1 he tries to push. The problem is by the time +1 attack is done, probably going to be 4 carriers out. And 4 carriers are pretty great at stopping this. Actually, just pulling the boys right now. We are going with no anti-air other than a couple Marines. This is an interesting choice. Not at all what I expected. I have to imagine once that armory is done, it's going to be all Goliath. But these carriers are just already killing tanks. He's going to lose at least 2 of them before there's any real anti-air done. SCVs are trying to build some turrets, but they're getting picked off. Oh, you gotta run! Move that carrier away! Rock! No! Oh my god, just barely keeps it alive. That is so close. That Marine is trying to hunt it down. That would be hilarious to be a Marine that actually ends up shooting down a carrier, and he is the one. A single Marine murdered that carrier in cold blood. Kind of hilarious. More tanks going down now, though, and it is 2 Stargate carriers, so we should be seeing more somewhat soon. This is a pretty big Terran army, though, and it is basically on top of Rock's base. So we're going to have to see how he deals with this. Turrets are now finishing. And really, these carriers don't have a great interceptor count. I guess Sink's plan is just to slowly push forward with turrets and use his tanks to keep the Dragoons away. I see 3 SCVs, so we can make 3 at a time. And actually, the tanks are in range of the goons now, so they are getting shelled a little bit here. One of the SCVs does go down. Another one being targeted, it looks like. These turrets are actually killing off the interceptors, and now Goliaths are starting to pop out. Man, losing that carrier was so rough. +1, I mean, carriers really get awesome when you have like 6, but they're pretty good if you have 4. Going down in carriers and having like 2 carriers that don't even have full interceptors is really not that strong. So actually kind of hitting the timing really well. He accidentally is Sink, and now the goons are fighting vultures while they're getting shelled by tanks, which is definitely not fun for them. This is a pretty big Dragoon count though, so they're actually, it looks like they're going to be able to win against the vultures, clearing all those up, but the siege tanks are still there, and now Goliath reinforcements probably going to stop the tanks from picking those off. Looks like, okay, 1 SCV left building turrets here. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. Decides to put it closer, okay. Really should repair that turret that is burning. Looks like, yeah, it looks like Rock is just saying, alright, take it. I don't even want that base. And not producing any more carriers, actually. What an interesting game. It's definitely a weird one. Is Rock going to... I think he's going to take this base in the bottom left. I don't know what else that'd probably be doing. Is that the 5th factory? Wow, I'm really surprised that this worked out so well, to be honest. It was definitely... It didn't look like it was a plan of his to be attacking like this so soon. And then that one vulture got in and scouted the carriers, and Sink just pulled the trigger right away. He immediately went over and attacked Rock and really just had a great push. Now this is not a huge army, actually. I think if Rock knew the size of that army, he might make some zealots and just push through it. A lot of Goliaths are still at home. Okay, looks like there's actually a back entrance into the base here. Lots of destructible terrain on this map. Seems like you can either go through the destructibles or just mine those minerals out to get through. I think either one works. Bit of a first person view, and he does definitely know about that. Looks like it's time for the tanks to come home. This is a nice play, actually. There's a lot of Dragoons here. Gonna force Sink to react to that, pull his tanks away, and maybe he can go break that turret ring and get out. But honestly, a ton of Dragoons here, and without tanks, they will just mash the shit out of these units. Lots of SCVs going down. The Goliaths just run away, and kind of understandably. This is almost like a recall, honestly, and actually jumping onto the tanks before they have time to siege, picking off a few of them, but the tanks are now ready to fire and getting tons of damage down on these goons. Picking off another one of those tanks right as it came out. But a lot of Dragoons go down there, and Rock decides to back out. But he kind of accomplished what he wanted here. Now, I am a little bit worried for this base in the bottom left. There's no cannon here. Oh no, he's probably going to lose all those probes. If the vultures decide to check, they will all die. And yeah, he does know the Goliaths are going to be hitting this base. I don't know what Rock can really do to save it. Probably just has to let that go. It's like the Dragoons. Okay, he mined out the minerals there, so the Dragoons can walk through, but all these probes are dead. I don't think a single one lived. Nope, one probe. One probe got away. Must be an observer here. I don't see it. Sync agrees, scans, and actually ends up killing it off. So if the Dragoons can't kill off those mines first, he's going to have to either do some micro that I don't believe has been figured out yet, or just lose Dragoons. Oh no, and more probes getting caught here in this transfer. So many of them going down. Really, this is just a nightmare of base management for Rock, more than anything else in this game. If he'd walled off the front of his main and that Vulture hadn't been able to run through, he'd probably not be in this position, since Sync would have just chilled out and waited for a little while longer, not realizing it was carriers. That probably was a big deal. I think if you can get away with 2 base carrier and you can get up to 4 carriers before they attack you, it's going to be pretty great. Probably get to take an easy base, but not what happened. And then now these probes in the bottom left, so many dying, really just because he didn't build a couple cannons there to protect. You know, 3 cannons and that base is just fine, and those probes are still mining right now, so I think Rock could have gotten a lot of extra mobility in this game out of that, but we are still in here. Now, big force pushing into Rock's main right now. I don't know how he's supposed to deal with this. There are Dragoons out on the map, going to be trying a counterattack, it looks like. Singh has been leaving units back, though, so I have to expect there's at least a couple tanks with probably Goliaths back there. Haven't seen a carrier in a little while. Did they get... I think they might have died or something. I'm not exactly sure where they went. Sync does scout this army. Yeah, there's mines here, which will be pretty good. And actually, that turret takes out the observer, so the mines are now actually going to be really good at holding those Dragoons back. And in the meantime, he is killing Rock's main. I think he's lost basically every probe. The Goons try to drive into the base, but there are still units here. The SCVs come out to fight as well. Getting pretty good damage done. I mean, it's not like his attack isn't working at all, but is it going to be as strong as his opponent's attack? And the other question is, can he ever beat this army? Or is he just going to lose to it if he ever fights it? I have to think he just can't beat that army at this point. No real production. Doesn't have those carriers anymore, it looks like. Killing these tanks is nice, but yeah, okay, there we go. Rock decides to GG. Unfortunately for him, you gotta block out those vultures. I think a lot of this game came down to that one moment where that vulture scout got in. Pretty lucky for Sync, but also, you know, pretty good on him for pulling the trigger like that and actually getting the scout off. So, that is game 1 of Group 2. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you come back for the next one.